pretty sick. I think it's because it's short and it just groovy. The guitar lines, I really like those.
Yeah.
All the names are so so silly.
Dude, it's very like video game, you know, kind of like,
Yeah.
which I love.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
That's my bread and butter right there.
Sick. Yeah, so definitely can hear that.
Okay, sick.
Sweet. Okay, then.
And it's funky. Can confirm.
It's
yeah,
funky.
no doubt.
Yeah. We're live. What's up, guys?
All right, we live.
How the
back,
hell are you guys
man.
doing?
Nice.
Good. Back with
Back again.
Are we on 5 now? RADcast
Dude, I
episode
think we're on
5,
five.
baby.
We're basically
Live.
professionals.
Yeah.
Live, basically.
Underneath
Hey, my
the
sister's
bright
tuned in.
lights.
She's like, I had to jump to episode 4, though.
You told your sister about
She's like
this?
1 through
Oh,
3.
yeah. Oh, yeah. She found it out. It was great. She was just like, I wanted to wait till you guys got it rolling,
Sure.
got some ideas dialed in, and
Smart.
4 was a good one.
She skips
Good
straight
feedback.
to Mart's measurements every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, everybody, that's what people are here for. I mean, let's be
Let's be
real.
honest here.
And we have Jimmy here today.
Ooh.
The Jimmy Keys.
Hey guys.
James Hatch
Hey,
What is
Jimmy.
up?
from RADO.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's great. It's
Yeah.
great to be back under the bright lights of the RADcast.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen you guys in a minute. What's been going on?
Not
What's new?
much, man. Happy to have James here. That's for sure. We got Benny and I usually do, but it's fun to bring in different members from the band and have their takes and
Different perspectives.
Stoked to get James in here today. He
Yeah.
said earlier he's going to drop some knowledge on us, so we'll hold him to that. We will hold him to that today, folks.
They're just hanging on to me because it's a tough job market out there.
yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want to let me go.
We haven't posted the position yet. But it's out there.
Yeah, but things have been good, man.
Podcock.
Things have been good. We we just got back from a long tour in the home state.
You're home, right?
Yeah. We did 4 nights in Texas. We did 2 weeks total run. Hit Kansas, Oklahoma, and went down to Texas. And had our best shows yet. In,
God's country.
Houston and Austin and Dallas, probably still our best show yet.
Yeah.
And it feels like we're poised to go back. Our next trip is going to be really lights out.
And that's a hometown show for you, right? So you're throwing down in front of people you got friends, family, the whole deal there.
Yep, I definitely used to get more nervous about it. I mean, I started a band there in 2012, so I played a lot of shows in front of people, but I was definitely more nervous with RADO because, it's probably the most serious, invested project I've been in that, we're really trying to see it through. And so I was a little bit more nervous putting that forward. But, it's our 3rd show in Austin, and I think I've learned to let go of
Yeah.
the set list, let go of the reactions, let go of
Yeah.
my friends are there, and just play it like a normal show.
And you have a lot of musician friends down there too. So
that's
that
what makes it worse.
That makes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. And I was definitely like late to the party on that. Like when I started that band in like 2012, all of my friends were already in active bands and had been playing music for a long time. So I felt a little like, hey guys, like now I'm playing music too. And they're kind of like, oh yeah, good for you.
Yeah. And it's probably different too because Kaleidoscope was like electronic, right? And this is like RADO where it's like really, it's not
More
an
vulnerable.
Yeah,
More vulnerable,
yeah. And it's
yeah.
like that's what they kind of, love down there. Like a lot of the friends that I know that of yours down there love the jam music. So bringing them that is like, a little more authentic to your core as well.
And to your point, the judgment for jam bands is much higher. As we all know, it's a cutthroat world out there, and
you gotta be
people
good.
are not afraid to eviscerate tier 7 jam bands.
Yeah, what's that one group? My drug band's better than your drug band.
Buddy. The amount of times I've muted that group.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I can't get enough. That's
Yeah.
my
What's it is, dude,
Honestly,
it's good.
though, they are nicer
good.
to.
They love the Disco Biscuits, so I
They're
give them
nicer
that.
to the Disco Biscuits, so that's nice. But they're also nicer to like new bands. Like if somebody, if you're a band and you're like, yo, check out my shit. For the most time, I haven't seen anybody be like, yo, fuck you, your music's terrible. It's usually like, oh, these guys are
It's
dope.
usually
check
once you
them
get a
out.
little bit of success,
Yeah, that's
then
when they
they're
start
going to
to
tear
hate.
you
That's
down.
when
If
they
you're a
start to
Pigeons
hate
playing
on-
ping pong, they're going to kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
But Well, that's cool. So Texas, what's the vibe in Texas like? Obviously, people think country music. Austin's a huge music hub. Like,
They call it the live music capital of the,
he's
of the
from
world.
there. He's from
You're
there too.
Texas too. Okay.
Austin boys.
We actually, we both grew up there
Yeah.
and became good friends when we both lived in Colorado, funny
Okay.
enough. Like, became a lot closer when we were out here, but knew each other back then as well.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so Austin, I mean, there's a lot of different shit going on there, right?
Yeah.
It's everything from like outlaw country to jam bands to
I think what's killer about it is it feels like New Orleans in a sense
Sure.
because it's got this really great local scene that you can easily access. It's not necessarily big bands, nationally touring acts every night, even though that certainly exists.
You can walk into a lot of bars and see like amazing blues and amazing like musicianship just in like a random like dive bar as you're walking along. So it has that.
100%.
And I feel like recently they've started to build out more music venues as well. So they're kind of trying to make it like a destination stop for bands on tour. And you see that with the Moody Center and Goose doing New Year's there this year, which was shocking. But
Huge.
Fish plays 2 nights there at the end of
and
June.
then, of course,
crazy.
Fish. So,
Yeah. And the psych rock scene there is blowing up too. They have the Austin Psych Fest,
Levitation.
Levitation. I've been once and I went to a
Jinx,
place.
you owe me a beer, buddy.
The 13th Floor, which is kind of a newer club. I think it used to be called
I've been
something
seeing some
else.
some
But
posts
the
about
psych
people
rock,
playing there.
Speaking of psych rock bands,
yeah.
13th Floor Elevators, that's
Yeah.
where that comes from.
Okay. See,
The 13th Floor Elevators are like an old school
Knowledge.
psych rock
Dude.
band.
Let's drop. Check one.
that scene is really blowing up right now too. It's interesting. I mean, obviously, it like bubbles up from Australia. There's all this crazy psych rock coming out of there, but Austin
Right.
seems to be the hub in America where that music is like blossoming.
yeah, it's interesting how that happens. Like,
Yeah,
it's-
like why Austin,
Yeah.
Texas? But it's awesome.
But it has always kind of been there. Like, the Levitation goes back a long
Yeah.
time. And so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like psych rock was probably,
Big indie scene,
The
too,
big-
in Austin.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
People just love live music there. I mean
Yeah.
that's one of the coolest things is
Yeah.
I met somebody at the Austin show that was from London, like two people that were from London, and they were they had just moved to Austin, and they could have picked anywhere in the country, and they were like, yeah, we wanted to move here because we just love live music, like bands, and that's so in this day and age, like
And they
to
were
be
willing
honest
to-
with you, that's so refreshing to hear, because you don't get that a lot when you ask
No.
somebody why they moved to. They're like, oh, the music scene, like, but in some cases, people like probably associate that to like, oh, the club scene, or like there's dance music here, like that's dope. But like, no, they love bands there, and that was the vibe that I was picking up on. It was pretty cool.
But yeah, there is a surprising, there's a surprising jam presence in Texas for sure.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, like, if you know the people, if you're kind of in the inner circle, there's a big jam scene. And so, me being from there definitely helped us kind of break into some of those circles. Like in Houston, you got Dan Electro's is the venue that's obviously where, like, the sort of the jam crowd hangs out. And Mikey Bullhofer and Christopher Tatum out there. Like, they're two of the main guys holding down the scene. But, like, once you find the right people and play some music for them, they've got like a whole posse, and like, so the Texas jam roots are actually pretty strong, surprisingly so.
It was
Texas
sick,
scene
dude.
is
It was
popping
sick.
off.
I was.
They just
I was
have to be
impressed.
kind of low key, In
Yeah.
Texas, you can't just be wearing your tie-dye.
Yeah. Smoking your devil's
except-
lettuce
yeah,
out on
I
the
know.
corner, dude.
I know.
What do they say in the cheese song? It's like,
yeah.
Get
Get me out of the small town Texas town.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
I don't want to be stuck in jail when the sun goes down.
Yeah.
It's
But
100
it was ultimately
100% the vibe.
awesome.
Yeah.
Houston was really cool. I mean, I don't know. There wasn't really a bad show down there.
Yes.
I mean, we had as you go to new markets, like you're gonna have a couple that are more lightly attended. And
Yeah, what's that like when you go to a market for a new time, like the first time, and you
Uh-huh.
have no idea? Like, how do you go about promoting that? Do you just like, I mean,
asking good questions.
what's the
That's-
approach?
We ask these questions all the time.
Let's say if you're going to
the
Madison,
continuous-
Wisconsin, and you've never played there, like how does a band approach promoting a show in a brand new city?
We've thought about this a lot, and I mean, we have a kind of open door on like ideas of how to make it more successful. And I mean, ultimately, what it comes down to is it's a lot of R&D. You know what I mean? You got to find out what works, what doesn't work. And a question that we've been asking ourselves recently is, it's like, what if we just had $1,000 that we could just pour into like Facebook marketing Instagram marketing,
Street team.
specifically for this show, what is the baseline of people that would come out to it? And I am kind of curious because we've done like $50, $100 for this Nebraska one. Like we're throwing in like $250 for all 3 of the shows. And I think that really
You're worth it, Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And we want to get people out there. But I think what we haven't tested in the biggest way is the online marketing. And, I think that is kind of one of the new doorways in that wasn't as opportunistic before is maybe the right word, because you would just throw monies at reels or like in hope that it would start to bring people out. But we're finally getting to these shows and like I think we're actually doing a really good job just asking people like, yo, how'd you hear about the show? Like, how'd you come out to this? Because that's a part of the R&D is you want to query the people to understand what the fuck got them there, right? And a lot of people are like, yo, I saw this Instagram reel or I saw on Reddit that you guys were playing here. So like doubling down, I think, on the online is like and truly, like putting up a show. You get this, like I'll tell you the process. You get the Facebook event up. You you invite all the people. You hopefully, have some people in that town that can also like invite some people to it. Sponsor that event, then you sponsor some reels within those markets.
It's really good.
Like Instagram reels.
Really good if you know a ripping percussionist with a bunch of friends
helps,
in town.
Yeah, and that helps too. But really, that's the recipe. I think if like bands are trying to figure it out and to try to help some like bands that hear this is like if you want to have some people turn out to your shows, like don't be coy about the fact that you can spend some fucking money on this. Like we used to be like, oh, that's like selling out, like, oh, we have to spend money to like market. It's like, yeah, you fucking do.
Yeah,
you have
that's
to do
how
that
business
in any
typically works,
any company.
There's something about it, like,
but it's working.
As
and
someone
that's
who's doing that, and you see a different band's advertisement, and there's some kind of like feeling of resistance, of like, oh, I don't want to be that one that's popping up as like a sponsored thing. But I think we learned that like that applies to like the Denver music scene where we're all like comparing each other and that, and like, but in Madison, Wisconsin, like they're not going to be mad that they're seeing
they've never heard of. They'll be like, here's a new band that's trying to make it here.
What's old and maybe played out to you or seems redundant to you is new to somebody else. So
and that's good perspective that we've just kind of, I mean, it's maybe taking away the ego or worries of how we might be perceived out of it, where it's like, yeah, man, we do want to spend money on our band to try to have success at these shows, because I don't know about you, James, but there is no more like challenging feeling when you do play a show and there's like 3 people in the crowd. When you do play concerts where it's like, man, we played in Denver and there's 500 people there. It's like tough to like swallow that and be like, all right, this is going to be a vibe.
This is why we do this shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and that gets harder and harder if you have like a series of shows where it's like, man, 10 people came to this one or something. And it's like the next one, it's like 20. And like Texas was honestly kind of a savior for that reason, because, we had some good shows in, I guess a couple of good shows in Kansas, but they weren't quite exactly what we wanted them to be. And then like, getting to Texas was a great reset because we actually approached those shows more with that, like, let's really put some money into marketing these shows and doing it the right way and really lean into this process that we've built out. And they were really successful, I think, for that reason.
So do you find...
And, of course, because of James and all that stuff being...
Sure, it helps to have a guy on the inside.
Yeah.
And knowing who the heads are in that city. Like, if you can... If you can find 15 heady cats and be like, these guys are going, and they'll tell 5 of their friends, and they'll tell 5 of their friends.
Sorry to cut you off there, but that's part of the answer to your question, too, which is like a lot of times the first time we'll play somewhere, it'll not be great, but there'll be like 2 really heady people in the crowd, and they'll come up to us and be like, we got to get y'all over 2 streets over.
Yeah, it's getting plugged into the right people.
They understand your kind of music and like where it belongs. And then they're like, y'all are sick, play here. We'll talk to the owner. He's a buddy. We'll set it up, and we'll have a bunch of people next time who are like into your kind of thing.
Yeah.
So sometimes...
Sorry.
It's all good, but that's happened a lot.
Plant the seed, build the vibe, man. We've talked about it before on this podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get that kind of crew going and that excitement.
Dude. Yeah, and it feels super common that we'll play and people will come up and be like, next time, here's where you're playing.
And it really is a grassroots movement, right? It's a person by person, brick by brick movement. It's just like keep building.
You have to.
And that next level up will come.
Because the question that I get from every venue when we go through and Gabe and I like rock on the booking, shout out Loose Leaf, love you guys, is have you played in here before? And if the answer to that is no, you get dismissed by 75% of the venues. So like you need to be able to say yes in that market that you're trying to break into. And what that sometimes means is if you are more of like, you know, we don't have a huge management company, you know, like Loose Leaf is our booking agent and that's awesome. But we don't have like, you know, like this huge funder that's helping us just be like, yo, here's a show. We got all this. We can dump all this money. We're good. So we have to be able to play like one of these more low key gigs where we get these people that Jimmy's talking about, where it's like these 5 people show up and they're like, oh, yo, this is awesome. And I'm going to bring some friends next time. And then when I hit up that market again and they're like, have you played here? We can say yes. And we feel confident that we can get like 50-ish people out because of our past results and what we think we can do here. So that changes the game in the narrative. So it's like when you expand into a new market, sometimes you have to take those like, got to take a couple lumps. To, you know, it's like one step backwards for 2 forwards kind of vibe. Not to like dismiss any of those more low-key
and to bring it full circle, the tech, the web presence, the social media is the tip of the spear. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's how you break it in. That makes sense.
Do you think, from a marketing perspective too, you talk about money and how much money you spend. Is it possible in this day and age to buy your way high? Like you and I'll use Goose as an example, but everybody says their marketing team is amazing, and I don't know the behind the scenes, but is it possible to just like, I mean, you obviously have to earn it on stage first and foremost, but can you also be like, we have the best marketing team ever, and that equates to X amount of hundred of people?
No.
I disagree. I mean, completely. To be honest, I've just read this article about a dude that literally did this. I mean, it wasn't necessarily in marketing, but what he did is this guy spent $40,000
spent in marketing abilities.
He spent $40,000 to buy out and sell out his entire like 15-run tour. So he bought 200 tickets to every single show, gave them away for free, and then had the show sell out. So they were sellouts ahead of time. So venues love that. People came to it, and then he got picked up by a national act and as their opening band. Like, it's just
interesting.
It's
cheating
stupid.
the system a little bit.
It's cheating the system.
More than a little
I mean,
bit.
it's gamifying it, but I think what Matt was probably going to get at, and I'd like to hear his perspective on it, is like at the end of all of this, it's like we're talking about product, we're talking about marketing, we're talking about business. Like, it's about the music. And if the music doesn't sound great and connect, then you can be hot for a second, but it won't stay, you know.
I think we all know of a few examples. The social experiment's been run before with restaurants and with food, and hype is a real thing. Like, it's enough, I think, to get people initially to try it or through the door or whatever. But as soon as they realize that the show sucks or that the music is trash and that the people are fake and that what the message is fake and that there's no story there, I think people lose interest.
Yeah,
they're not going to go back.
You gotta have
and I
depth.
think what makes you know, bands specifically successful is people that want to go see them every time they come to town.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, I do also think it's important for those kids out there at home watching to know that it's also
All those young
I would also say like talent isn't enough in a lot of cases, unfortunately. Like I've been surrounded by incredible musicians, incredible talent, really good bands, and like watch them time after time like hit walls and barriers and not get the credit and
100%.
like the
You
whatever.
see it more often than not.
Right. It's like, yeah, the default mode is that no matter how good you are, it's not going to work out. And like you hope and you use the marketing and all those other skills to like give it a chance.
And I'm not saying that that's it, but I personally feel that like once you're through the door, I feel like most people are too smart.
Yeah,
and,
the marketing will get the
much.
people in the door, but you need to earn that staying power.
Yeah, you could say the talent is necessary but not sufficient.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because how many times, to your point, James, about
Put that on a T-shirt.
sell it, dude.
College check.
The best guitarist on planet Earth is probably somebody you've never heard of.
Right.
Or the
Oh,
best
yeah.
of this, that, and the other. Like, it's so true. How many great bands never never break through. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
I actually, just for shits and giggles, looked up the foreshadowing, the best keyboardist of all time, and
Nice,
I had no
I did
idea
it.
who the fuck the number one answer was.
Same. I did that today.
You looked it up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, I did the same thing. I typed it in the
We're all
Google
gonna
today.
regurgitate the same fucking article.
I was like, I have no idea who this guy is. I'm
No, I
going
know.
to skirt through. Oh, Herbie Hancock. I know him.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, but that's so interesting just about the marketing and the music fan these days are so knowledgeable. It's not just like
Yep.
with the internet and where we are with social media and everything. Your average fan is so much more intellectually like
Dude,
in it than before.
you have to have you have to have such a compelling reason to bring them out. And it needs to touch, in my opinion, on like more than just like back in the day, like what would it be? You'd see a cool poster that was like kind of heady and psychedelic. You'd be like, "Oh, that's for me." Like nowadays, you have to be like, "Okay, what's their Facebook? What does their Spotify sound like? What's their vibe? What do they look like?" You have so many ways to check out and vet them. And like, what are people more often not going to do? They're going to be like, "All right, maybe I'll check them out next time or something. I don't want to pay $20. I can just listen to this right here." So you have to touch on so many different bases, and I don't know. I kind of love the challenge of it all in a way.
Definitely.
Like it's weird. Like it's hard to do this, but I love the process, man. I mean, I really genuinely do. I like having it be holistically not just about just the music in a way, as weird as that sounds, but I do like that, like, you know, dude, I'm a corporate guy. I went to, I got a great business situation that I'm a part of. Like,
Yeah.
I can apply those skills to help us maybe jump ahead on a couple things. I'm going to fucking do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's always been part of what gave us more hope and belief that we can be one of the talented bands that gets recognized, because we kind of knew that. Like, all right, all these people are talented. What's our advantage? A lot of it's like really good business sales skills, organizational skills. Ben does video and content marketing stuff, and like, so when he came along, it like obviously supercharged like the content game, started having multicam footage and all that stuff,
And their
so
bobbability, obviously.
Obviously.
so we're that's where you try to leverage or like find some leverage, because like the talent, it's everywhere. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the music's great. Music's
Yeah.
it's a
great.
pendulum,
Yeah.
because then
But you're
sometimes
right. I
we
mean, the music. There's a million bands with great music that never break through. So
Yeah.
to your point, you have to have more. You have to bring a little bit more in a scene where the fans are already have a little bit of an elitist mentality when it comes
Yeah.
to like they're a
Totally.
little more judgmental than other fan groups.
I think
their country
I feel
fan
like-
is not the same as a jam
I
band
feel like
fan.
they love to
Yeah.
hate you until they love to love you. Like, it's
Yeah.
cool to hate you until it's cool to like you.
Yeah.
And like no one can tell exactly when
Where
it's
it
jam
is,
band.
yeah, isn't it?
Jam
but it's
banding
like,
101.
no, boo, boo,
Yeah, it's
boo.
like, oh, you grew too fast.
Yeah.
Like, we hate you now.
It's interesting though, because I do, I will say, maybe to turn it positive for a second,
Yeah.
is that the rock. I really do think that the Bakers, the RADO fans are kind of more like a little bit more open, and I hope that we're putting out that vibe to people that let's have a little bit more like love out there for the jam scene and try to build people up, because ultimately like these other bands' success and keeping the scene growing and alive, and like seeing people like Squeaky Feet and Swerve and like truly like the Magic Beans, we were talking about this the other day. They've been huge in the Denver scene. It's just like them doing well and having success is good for us ultimately. Like I always think about like San Francisco or like the LA music scene when all this stuff was popping up. Like think about how many bands came from that music scene, and it was because ultimately I think they had this like collective mentality as opposed to wanting to break each other down. It would be like, no, dude, you're dope. Like let's link up, let's all hang out, let's all be homies, and I think that is good for the overall development of each individual band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and there's a positive element to it with RADO that I think you guys are such likable individuals that I think fans just radiate towards you guys. I mean,
that counts for you too.
Yeah, definitely. Hey,
And you.
that's true. Yeah, we've always felt like our kind of looseness on stage and our like having interplay with each other, of just being like silly and goofy and having a blast, kind of like while it's like also being amazed, like, holy shit, this is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
And they're having fun.
And they're approachable.
Yeah. Nice guys.
Yeah. Well, sick. Well, good.
Raised the right way. Thanks, Mom.
Have you guys ever read that incredible letter that the Grateful Dead wrote their fan base after the gate crashing incident?
The one that
Yes.
Jerry wouldn't endorse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just think it's it's one of those cool moments where you look yourself in the mirror and you're like, hey, we're better than this.
Yeah.
We're gonna create this scene and the vibe that we want to create.
Yeah.
And we're responsible for it.
Yeah.
You got to be. You got to.
Yeah.
I mean, that was Jerry's thing. Is it's like if you're gonna have people be around your scene and like kind of party and cut loose and stuff, you got to look out for him. And I mean, that's important to me, especially like, we want to have Lucia come on here, and we've talked about Lucia a couple times on here. But like, I will say this because it matters to me deeply. Like, I've got a bunch of sisters. I grew up with sisters, but like, I think a lot of females do feel very comfortable coming to RADO shows, and that makes me like really fucking proud, dude. Like, I want to make sure that like ladies feel comfortable coming to our scene and making sure that like they feel like people aren't creeping on them and that drugs aren't like they're not going to be put in a situation that is uncomfortable or anything like that. And that is something that I like really stand behind because that is, I've seen shit go wrong at concerts so many times.
Let me just say, if
girls
somebody's
out there.
doing drugs at a RADO show, let me know about it.
Yeah. But no, for
Continue.
real. No, that was good. That was great. I just want to.
PSA.
I'll stand on that platform for a moment there.
No, shout
Yeah.
out. Shout out to the community you've created, and shout out to this amazing scene that we have here.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
doubt.
Very good.
No doubt.
What the hell else is going on? You had Texas. You've got a big show coming up at Cervantes. Everyone Orchestra, March 22nd.
Yep.
A lot of heavy hitters. Holly Bowling.
Holly Bowling.
Super excited and a little intimidated.
Cotter Ellis on drums.
Connor Ellis. Jennifer Hartswick. Eddie Roberts of the New Master Sound.
Yep.
Josh Fairman.
Johnny. The
Josh of Sun Squabe.
And I think they're fresh off the boat. Matt Beller was on the Jam Cruise.
Yeah, a bunch of
Okay.
people were on the jam. Kanika Moore, too.
Kanika Moore. God, dude, that is a heavy lineup.
Yeah, it's going to be sweet, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you guys looking forward to? Like, what are the feelings going into the show?
Go ahead, James.
Well, it's nice to be doing it for a second time. We've played in the ballroom now before, so I think we'll be a little more comfortable and like not feel as pressured to plan things out necessarily as we maybe have in the past. And yeah, I think it'd also be cool because we're going to get a chance to get exposure to people who like the kind of music we make. And that's important. Like Evanoff, shout out to them for having us play with them, but the genres didn't overlap all that much. So I don't know if we just got the same amount of opportunity to like, I'm excited for a bunch of people who are coming that love jam music and they love Cotter and Holly and Jennifer Hartswick and all that. And I'm just hoping they're going to be like, holy cow, we just got here 30 minutes early to get a drink and didn't know that.
Cow.
Dude, it's a huge opportunity to unlock a whole new group of fans.
Yeah, it's dope too because it's not just one band. Like this is a bunch of cool, different groups.
It's like
that come
eclectic,
together.
all within our scene kind of thing.
which I love
So-
it. And just loving Trey so much. It's super cool to be associated with anything.
It's
that
like a
he's
super sick networking event that's also a
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. Yeah.
How is
Yeah.
Trey associated with it? Through Jennifer Hartswick?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
His name's on the poster.
She's
dude.
definitely going to name drop you guys
got it.
when she goes back to tab practice.
That could be cool.
My
Could
I'm
happen.
opening for Tway 4 times removed.
Yeah. Tway.
But
One
yeah.
time.
But I mean, it is. I mean, like, to your point, even if, let's say 10, 15% of them come back, like, that's a huge.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about before, like talent isn't enough, and it takes other things. And a lot of times, what it takes is like someone who's in a position of power, like seeing it and being impressed and loving it, and like either working for a management company or
Yeah.
whatever it may be, or owning a venue or
Right.
working at AEG or something.
Or
where they
even one
see
of those
you.
members loves you and they bring, Josh
Right.
says, hey, you guys are great. Come with Sun Squad. We play this.
Yep.
All those opportunities are on the table.
Yeah, it feels palpable.
Palpable.
The energy is there.
smell
Things
Yeah.
are happening
Plus,
this year, man.
Dude.
Everyone says we're playing our best music that we
Yeah.
have. So
I
think
agree
you
with
are.
that. Yeah.
I've only followed you for like 6 months, but I
Yeah.
think
It's
you're at
gas,
your top
baby.
of your peer.
It's gas.
Yeah, you've turned into a good.
This is a good time to be a RADO fan.
Yeah, I think so. It's just progressed in a way that's it's just dynamic and
Yeah.
different, and it's always growing. But I think probably the best word is it's just turned into this more patient groove. Like I used to shred like really hard on top of some of the stuff, and I don't mind listening to it, but I find my favorite. I was like listening to a jam on the way over here, the Anxious Eggs from Dallas. If you haven't listened to it, it's so fucking
Check
great.
it
Man.
out.
It's so good. But like,
Also-
I love the
also
part when the guitar is like doesn't sound like a guitar anymore. I'm like, that's great.
Yeah.
This is the best. I don't even hear myself like
Yeah.
playing a guitar. It's incredible.
I think it really comes out in the recordings too. I mean, shout out Kevin, right?
Yeah,
Like, these
Kevin
things-
is.
Yeah.
the
the-
recordings have gotten better and better. I think
They're
as
so
well.
they're so
His crank
fat.
is a testament to mankind. I
His
mean,
crank
the
is
dude-
a testament.
We're gonna cut
oh
that.
my god.
We're gonna cut that.
We don't cut.
That's RADO, man.
Yeah,
That's,
that's
RADO
it.
life.
That's
We
it.
don't-
There you go,
cut.
Kev.
Yeah. No, but I think patience, right? Like understanding each other, patience, all of that is a sign of maturity
Yeah.
in a band.
The pocket therapy session here, which we'll talk about later, I had opened up my mind, I think, a lot in terms of just like my overall what I feel like I need to play to like make it sound cool or like have all effects and whatnot. Like, I don't need that at all because the pocket therapy stuff just sounded so good and raw.
Yeah.
Like,
It's just clean.
it's nice to just have just a clean guitar sound too,
Well,
you know. Even though I like when the guitar disappears, but it's also like sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I get caught up, I think, a little bit in my own effect game because I love my pedals, but it's really cool to just have that guitar just like sound like just a guitar.
Yeah, I was gonna say like what I was thinking about during that set recording session. To your point, is like pretty much all of them like started with like a really fat drum beat or a really fat bass line, and they locked in, and like it was already everything it needed to be with just like the drums and the bass, like sweet bass line, tight drum groove, and then I add like just like a little chord or a clav or whatever. And then at that point, it's like everything you do is just like icing on top of
Yeah.
already like a delicious
Yeah.
cake.
Yeah.
It's
baking reference.
Yeah. Oh, baking reference. Very
so
nice.
constructing it that way too, almost like as opposed to like live shows where a lot of times it feels like the guitar is like
Kinda pushing
leading
it,
and needing
yeah.
to like keep the attention, but like
Yeah.
building it up this way where it's like, oh, it's already awesome, and like the guitar is just like a
It must be nice to be able to sit back and know that it's still in good hands. Like the jam is still in
Yeah.
good hands without having to feel like I have to be adding here or it's going to hinder it.
Yeah.
Like to know that I can just sit
Yeah.
back and do my thing.
which
And-
literally we can all drop out and just let Kev and Ben
do
like
their thing.
have
Dude, I
a-
broke a string.
have a
I
rhythm
broke a
section.
string in Austin, and it I couldn't find my screwdriver, so it took a little extra longer. And I paused for a minute in all the chaos because it is stressful when that happens. And I was off to the side of the stage, so a bunch of people were looking at me, and I just paused and I listened to what they were playing, and James was just going to ham on something. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, should I leave? Can I just join the concert? And be a part of it from this standpoint for a little while?
Please
holy
know it
fucking
was very
shit.
stressful, but it was fucking dope.
Was it stressful for
It's a
you
little
too?
stressful. I'm like, how many minutes can we?
How can we pull this off?
Many more, dude. You could have done a whole freaking Numa
Yeah.
trio kind of vibe
Yeah.
show, dude. Benny just
New deal.
pop into the unts. It would have been sick.
Shout out Numa
The
Trio.
transcendent.
The
RADO edition.
Yeah, transcendent. Oh
Just
man.
heavy drum and bass.
Yeah. It was. It was.
But
it
yeah,
was
I think
funny.
about that all the time. Like we're so safe because like their groove is like what gets people moving and engaged, and then it's like we can just pepper in cool melodic ideas and whatever.
Yeah.
And it's all just like yeah.
You got that rhythm section, man. One of the best out there.
Beep,
I
beep.
think. Beep beep. Beep beep. Honk honk.
Honk honk.
Yeah.
You guys want to do what's rad?
Oh, who's got some hot rads,
Oh.
dude?
Hot
Would you
takes?
grab me one of those? Thank you, sir.
Take one.
I've been brewing on this too.
You've been
I'd
brewing?
like to. Yeah, I've been brewing. I've been I've been percolating a little bit, but I'd like to hear some of your thoughts
Percolating.
first.
Okay.
Yeah.
James, do you got one you want to hit?
yeah,
Oh,
I
he's
got some
deep,
hilarious
dude. He's got some hilarious material. All right,
What's
let's
been
go.
cooking, dude?
All right,
What's
what's
been
been
cooking,
cooking?
James?
All right. What's rad? Have you guys ever seen these videos that is people who pretend to be getting scammed on the phone, but they string the scammer along and end up scamming the scammer?
No.
No.
Oh, it is so rewarding.
But
I'm
I
telling
want to hear. I do this, but I want to hear what you have.
But
to
they're
say.
like professionals. Like
Okay,
one
yeah.
person like makes their YouTube channel like this
Sure.
is what
they're
do.
monetizing this.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're like hackers. Like they know how to get
Yeah.
the hacker to accidentally give them
Give
their
them
like
their info.
thinking
No,
that they're like
I
an
haven't
old
heard
lady.
this.
Outrageous.
He's like,
Dude.
I'm sorry, sir. I sent the money. I don't know what happened. Let me call my bank again. And they're like,
Yeah.
no, don't call your bank.
Yeah.
Don't call your bank.
Dude, I gotta check this.
I'm
out.
telling
very
you,
funny.
it's-
What I do
and
is
it feels like justice.
I'm a part of ticketing groups. I'm sure you guys are too. Where
yeah.
I get scammers reaching out to me, being like,
Oh,
"I have
constantly.
tickets for this,"
Constantly.
and
Like,
I
I
will
want
string
'em.
along a guy in my DMs for concert tickets.
Oh, that's
and then I
funny.
always end it with, "This is for Imagine Dragons, right?" And he goes, and I go, "Imagine dragging these nuts across your forehead."
Oh no!
And then I block
Dude,
'em.
you guys are so similar because that's literally you have to talk about what you do with the rental properties, dude.
Dude, I love it.
Because you get
dragging these
hit.
nuts, block.
It's the same fuck.
I mean, it's not as good as
That's not nearly as good, but that's pretty bang on.
But yes,
Yeah.
like my dad owned a bunch of like property in Texas, and so like I don't know, somehow my number's connected through the phone plan or whatever, and I get texts all the time like, "Hey, are you open to hearing offers on like 773 whatever Avenue?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm open." And they're like, "What are you asking for?" I'm like, "A pyramid of cash 10 feet wide
Yeah.
and 8 feet high,
Yeah.
made of 20s and
One's
10s."
only. Yeah.
And just and then I had one guy where I was like, he was like, "Screw you" or whatever. I was like, "Oh, really?" Like we went back and forth for like 20 minutes. I'm like, "You're the one hitting up a fucking stranger. Like,
Yeah.
you have no idea who I am. I'm not even related to this. You're just bothering me."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, this is my job, blah blah blah," and we're just like arguing.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Dude, and the scammer too. There's so many key like indicators where I know this guy is full of shit. They're always like overly polite a little bit. It's weird, some weird like, across seas tendencies
Oh, yeah.
probably, and I drag them along too. I'm just like, send a photo, not the right photo. Adjust it slightly,
They're
just
so
fucking with
Yeah,
them.
There's people that do this professionally, and
Yeah.
it is incredible to
That's
watch.
amazing.
That's
We're gonna have to watch
that's
these.
why-
We're gonna have to
that-
watch these videos.
I know.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to drop me some.
How to
links.
scam a scammer.
How to
Yeah,
scam a
that's great,
scammer.
dude. Yeah.
They're very rewarding. So that's one of mine. Who else?
Mart, you got a rad? Some radness?
I mean, I guess this is gonna probably sound lame, but
Great, awesome preface. I
just-
can't wait to hear it, Ed.
no, just I think the kindnesses that you would see as small, like holding the door open for somebody,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
giving change to somebody that's
Yeah,
with living out on the streets, for example.
yeah, dude.
That kind of stuff just warms my heart when you see
Yeah.
it on a daily basis,
No
and when
doubt.
you get to engage in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what goes
I
around
don't
comes
think
around.
that's lame at all, dude. And
I-
that was in the vein of what mine was, because I've got this not exact. I mean, it's not maybe the same exact situation, but I've got this Walgreens right by my house, and there's this one.
Shit goes down.
Well, it definitely shit goes down there. But there's this one lady that works at the cash register, and dude, she's just like the nicest person. Like her name's Rue. She knows me by name. She knows Tasha by name. She knows Huxley by name. And it's just like, she. Like, that's not an easy job. Shit is going down. There's people stealing from that store all the fucking time. Dude, and like,
I mean, every Walgreens, I feel like shit's
Yeah,
going
dude,
down.
you work at
That was the
Walgreens.
joke.
Yeah,
Shout out to you,
shout
dude,
out to
'cause
you
that's a
for
hard
sure.
fucking
But
job.
ultimately,
You should
man,
get a promotion.
like
You
she just exudes like kindness, and like it's such a bright light. Like even today, I walked up to the register, and she's like, "Hey, Dylan, like you're buying these things. I've got like $10 off that you can use in these coupons right now." Like that's so cool that she
That
does
is
it, and she
cool.
takes like. you know, it's cool to see somebody
That's
that
make
takes
your day type shit.
pride in
Yeah.
their job too. That's like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna make the best of this situation and do it to the best of my capacity because I'm here, and that makes me really
random acts of radness.
Yeah,
dude.
random acts. We've talked about that, but those,
Yeah.
you know, those things matter to me, and I always, you know, lean into the more like deep ones on the rad because I love to recognize shit like that. So
Yeah.
thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
But on a funnier note,
Yeah, hit me.
I also walked into the bathroom in Vail the other weekend, and there was a giant nug of weed on the fucking on the. I thought that was pretty rad.
That's
is
radness.
super rad. To keep, I guess, the ski theme going.
Okay.
And also,
You've been ripping it a
kindness.
lot, dude.
I've been ripping a lot, dude. It's been great. Saved all my PTO for like these 2 months. I'm going to Utah
and
next
you
week.
go
I'm
and you
stoked.
go on the weekdays, which is what I've seen.
Typically, I don't, but
Oh,
again, now
JK,
I'm just at a
JK.
position in
It's
my
bad at
company where I
Instagram.
can start doing it
Nice.
now. So, but I was out at Breck yesterday, and to your point, like the guy at Starbucks just gave me a coffee. It wasn't like a pay it forward type situation. I pulled up to the window. The guy was like, "Hey, this one's on me, bud."
Wow.
The guy working at the so shout out to the guy at the Breck
Hey,
Starbucks.
Hey, that's nice.
And then to continue that theme, dude, my what's rad is people you meet on chairlifts. Cause I sat next to the wackiest
Nice.
fucking dude. I always have the best conversations.
Do you?
With
Nice.
people on
Do you
chairlifts.
engage? You
This-
engage heavily?
The first couple hours I do, and then I get a little burnt out on chopping it up with people. But this dude, he caught me at the perfect time, dude, and he was just a chiller. He was a rad dude.
Hell yeah.
And he was I hope the story is true. He pitched it well. He was a paleontologist, and he digs for dinosaur bones. And he was fucking digging for dinosaur bones in Breckenridge. This is like 10 years ago. You with me so far?
Yeah.
Digging for dinosaur bones. He digs up Bonnie and Clyde's Tommy guns buried inside of these dinosaur bones that they're like excavating. They like find these dinosaur bones, so they like clear it out. They make the box or whatever. And they dig.
Yeah.
dig. And then they
that was a great impression of digging. And
And
you've
dude,
clearly met a lot of
Dude,
paleontologists.
I'm big in the paleo community. and dude, he uncovers within these dinosaur bones. I guess Bonnie and Clyde had robbed banks in Denver and then had taken refuge and run up to Breckenridge. And they needed to stash their weapons somewhere. And don't ask me how they got inside dinosaur bones. I'm not a paleontologist, but the guy uncovered these Tommy guns. And he's showing me pictures and shit. And I'm going, this isn't fucking real. Like, there's no way. He's got pictures and everything of like.
That would be in the news, right? Like,
Well, I know. So I kind of.
did you Google?
I
Like,
mean,
did
I
you?
kind of.
Hold on, would it be so?
Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story, okay?
But yes,
That's sick. In theory.
chairlift homies are a good one, and I would say like piggyback of that, like friendships that are extremely strong and powerful and like have an expiration date of like a day.
Totally.
Like, you're at a bachelor party and
Yeah.
you link up with that guy and have the best week in
The
your
dude
life.
you met at the show last
Never
night,
talk
who
to
you're
him
like,
again.
bro, we are gonna fucking kick it. Let me get your number, and it's just like John from Fish, and I'll never talk to you again.
Yeah.
It's not a fish show unless you get at least one dude's phone number.
Yeah, and you talk about how you're totally gonna kick it soon,
Yeah.
and it'll never
It's
happen.
bachelor parties for me.
Yeah,
It's
bachelor
always
parties
Like,
and-
dude, you get
Yeah.
it like
Yeah.
this guy.
He's the
Throwing
man,
down.
dude. He's a giant fucking Nugs fan. We're
Yeah.
gonna rip it up when we get
that's
home, and you'll never
hilarious.
see that guy again.
Yeah.
So shout out to those like one day rental friends. Those
Y'all
guys
are the best.
awesome.
All the Larrys, Freds, and
Yeah,
Teds out
those
there.
guys are the best, man.
Okay, I have another one.
Yeah, hit it.
Taco Bell's innovation is just constant and incredible. I am not even joking. Every new product they come out with is fucking awesome, and it's like you've maxed out. There are no more ideas,
Yeah.
and there's more.
I know.
Wow.
And
I do
using
have
the-
a stasis where I want T-Bell.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. They've reached a new potential.
Every
And
time I
also
pull
with-
in, I'm like, what am I going to find today? and they're
this-
like ghost nachos with, you know, habanero pepper sauce.
and it's
I'm like,
super fire. And then you're
so
tasting it,
good.
and then you're like, wow, I've achieved
And
a
it's-
new type of heartburn that I didn't know was
It's
possible.
rearranging the same ingredients too
Yes.
in new ways. It's like how many times can you reinvent the
I
same
went-
menu?
yeah.
It's
Well,
impressive.
What's new today? What's new
Yeah,
today?
it's like-
burrito dippers.
Whoa,
They're
don't,
miniature
don't tell
burritos
Ben.
that they
Do
use.
not
Don't
tell
tell
Ben. Holy
Yeah, I know, I
shit,
said the B
Taco
word.
Bell, you are about to have a new favorite customer.
I said the B word. I shouldn't have said it. I know
Yeah,
that's banned on this
yeah,
podcast.
Yeah, no, it is. T-Bell.
You cannot say burrito on this
But, like,
podcast without saying
Whoever
Ben.
their food innovation specialist is,
Yeah.
that person, I hope, is the richest person.
Yeah.
In
They have
consumer
more
food.
crazy combinations of shit that you can order than
Bro, it might be
anyone.
Devontae Adams. You know, he's
Yeah.
got that T-bell. They
That's-
workshop him for ideas. He's probably just
He's got
like,
one,
hey
yeah.
man, put that shit with
Yeah.
this shit. Add a little cheese on there.
It's
Yeah.
100% a dude getting stoned as balls, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Here's your thing of ingredients."
Yeah,
he's like,
all right,
"Oh,
we're gonna fucking
take this tortilla. We're gonna
Yeah.
put cheese on that. Then we're gonna
free kind.
put another taco on that,
That's
and then more
outrageous.
cheese, and wrap
Yeah.
that in the tortilla.
Minimum wage
Crunchwrap Supreme.
Yeah.
Minimum wage is pretty sick in Colorado too, so he's getting high and just
Yeah.
smothering the
Yeah.
cheese, getting paid
Yeah, like for
pretty good
18
money.
bucks an
Today's
hour.
a good
Yeah.
day, dude.
And low-key sleeper at Taco Bell, their breakfast is good.
100%.
I have
People
heard
sleep on the Taco Bell
So
breakfast.
much. Thank
That's
you.
actually one of the
Elliot.
better
Yeah.
things.
I've been closeted. I didn't want anyone to
You
know.
do.
that
I,
did.
I
fuck
stand in
Taco Bell
solidarity, dude.
I fuck with Taco
Breakfast
Bell
Crunchwrap
breakfast.
is next level.
100%.
I'm sorry, just on the minimum wage thing, just one not rad, one
Let
not rad
me
thing.
just
really
touch
quick.
on my
Yeah,
point
the
real
pores.
quick.
Did you guys hear that Diamond Cabaret just like straight up wasn't
14 million, dude. They got sued for it. Diamond
Wait, what?
Cabaret.
No, I did not hear about this.
They
Yeah.
went for the
Tell
old
'em.
not pay strategy.
Yeah, they
Not-
basically just didn't pay anybody, and now they got sued for 14 million. They have to. Pay
How
it
do
all
you
back.
get? How does that work
heard
from a
you're-
like
they
worker
weren't- they
standpoint?
were
Like you just
they-
like keep returning
I
the,
think
like,
the state
paychecks
said,
coming at some
the state
point.
said you have to pay people a minimum of this, and they were just like, "Nah, we're gonna keep paying you what we
Yeah.
was."
That's the
I
I think the
pimps and
strippers were
hoes
just like
shit, dude.
keeping cash, but then like their actual base pay was like
I don't know.
nothing.
Those I would imagine at most strip clubs there's some sketchy off the books.
Yeah,
Those books ain't clean. Dude.
Those
Just
books
like the floors.
in multiple
Yeah.
ways. Yeah, yeah.
Absolute trash, horrific.
Another not rad. Every
we got some
single
not rads.
street
We're
in
going to not
Denver
rad.
right now.
Dude.
Every single street in Denver
is what?
under construction.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Every single one
Oh,
within
yeah.
a 5-mile radius of my
Yeah.
house.
I
Oh
know.
yeah. It took
And
me.
I think
out-
around Jimmy's house, literally everyone.
It's
Where do you
fucked.
live?
He's
Where do you live?
surrounded.
Over by Sloan's Lake.
Okay, that's
Like
where I am
10th
too.
And
Yeah.
Sheridan, 10th and Sheridan.
Yeah, I'm
roughly.
26 in Benton. We're actually
Nice.
really close to
Yeah.
each other. Yeah,
Yeah, I
a
saw you
nightmare.
post a picture on social media the other
Yeah.
day. I don't stalk him or anything.
no, no.
But
I'm a sucker for
and
a good
I
sunrise.
noticed. I was like, oh, he must be right by.
Yeah,
where
I'm
Jimmy
two
Keith
blocks-
is.
I'm
lives right by
two
Lot
blocks from
46.
Joyride. Lot 46, whereas
Yeah, yeah,
I met
yeah.
you
That's how
guys
we
is
met.
because I
Makes sense,
can
makes
walk
sense.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a mess. Downtown's a mess. 16th
So
Street.
many
We
orange
covered
colors.
this
Yeah,
before. but
exactly, like-
16th Street's a shit show.
Horrendous all
Yeah.
around there.
The
It's like
businesses
closed-
downtown are about to have a full-on revolt.
I mean, every
Dude.
single
As
street.
they
Well,
should.
I mean, it does impact like business in a big way.
Yeah,
like
it's
those
terrible
walk shops
down
that
there,
you
man.
can't go and like walk into.
there's-
You
there's
gotta,
a
like,
joint
cut
under-
3 fucking ways.
No.
There's been 4 like places on Broadway that got like probably put out during that because they were like digging under the street for a second, like figuring out all the electrical wires. It's like, oh yeah, this is a great time to do this. You know?
Yeah.
It's unreal, dude. And the place literally under my office has been, I think, 4 or 5 different places have all gone out of business in the past
Oh, that blows.
Yeah.
2 years.
Yep.
It's rough.
It's bad.
It's like cursed, you know.
No, it's bad.
Yeah.
44th and Sheridan too. I don't know if anybody goes that way. If I'm on this, that has been under construction for 5 years. I mean,
Shit
it's a
goes
race
down there,
between the
too.
airport and 44th to see who can finish last
Right.
in terms of getting
That's near
shit done.
Lakeside over there.
Yeah. It's a disaster.
My
So,
favorite theme park.
yeah, Lakeside,
Lakeside,
Take your kids.
dude.
Yeah.
Just-
Oh yeah, that's the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to, I didn't want to spin us out there too long. But it feels like every street I turned on in the last
It's
2
bad,
weeks
man.
Yeah.
has been under construction.
It's bad. But
My one not rad. I got one. I
Yeah.
got one because I met with my financial advisor today, and we had a conversation. And I'm not going to talk about the wedding.
how's your portfolio?
That's not
doing?
what it is. It's looking to buy a house nowadays, and
In Denver
really
especially.
really missed the boat. We had like a full conversation how she thinks that perhaps renting right now is honestly like a better strategic financial.
Rents have gone down a
decision.
little bit.
Yeah, so
have.
buying a house is always like a nice
Let
next
go of the
step.
dream, dude.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
over.
Yeah, well, the
You live in
problem,
Colorado.
dude. The problem is like I want to buy the house that I live in now, which is like a great house, and I don't
Yeah.
think Tasha would like
will
settle
never.
for something else. And I looked at this one house on our block went for sale. And we walked by, and I was like, "Oh, but this is like, like it's $800,000, $1.2 million."
Yeah.
I'm like, "What the fuck?
Slap a
What am I
7%.
doing? How do I live in this neighborhood right now?"
I know. Well, and interest rates too. I mean,
Yeah.
dude, people who locked in 5 years ago, God bless.
I know,
you.
dude. My house that I live in was like worth like
Can't even
$300,000 like 5 years ago or something
I
like
know.
that. Now it's like 3x that or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, I've given up that dream a long time ago.
It's
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah. Colorado, don't move here.
Yeah.
It's too expensive.
Bring the rent down. Bring the rent down.
All right, I've got one more.
Yes.
Maybe
I love it.
slightly less bleak, not rad. That's
Yeah.
not-
Yeah. Let's end it on a real
Life in
solemn
Denver
note
sucks.
here.
I mean, it's still not rad, but it's how
You're like,
What? You're like, that was sad, Dylan. We've got something new to say.
all right.
Go ahead.
Made some doctor's appointments this week. You have to give them all the information over the phone, your insurance, your address, your name, your all that. Then they send you a link to where you fill out a form where it's all the exact same information again.
Yeah.
Then you get there and they hand you a piece of paper
piece
and
of
you fill it out
clipboard. I know.
a third time.
I know.
All the same information.
I know.
Who
All
the-
them,
who
all
the
them to
fuck
look
is-
at your wiener
who's
and tell you it's going to be
capturing
okay,
this?
you know?
I mean, for real.
Can it just be one time into a computer system?
Yeah.
I don't understand the forms. Like,
It's insane.
I just gave you my insurance card over the phone. You said, yeah, I pulled it up. It's all great. And then the link is like, fill out your insurance information. I'm like,
Yeah.
she just said she got it.
I just had that experience too, and then my doctor's office literally just goes, "We're breaking up with you. You can't be a patient here anymore." Yeah,
You
they
got
were like,
dumped by your doctor?
yeah, no, they go, "We're gonna have," they go, "We have 4,500 patients." Laugh it
dumped
up.
by your doctor.
Laugh it up, dude.
They
bro.
definitely
check it
had
out.
a
They're
meeting,
like,
and they're
no,
like, who do we
no,
cut?
no,
yeah, they're like, we
Mark,
gotta cut
that
fat.
Matt
Mark.
guy.
Mark, get him out. Get him out.
Apparently, this is the thing now. They're going concierge level or whatever. And so their doctor's office is going from like 5,000 patients to 1,200. And I can be one of those 1,200 if I pay a monthly fee up front for the year.
Oh,
And
hell
it's
no.
like
That's
No.
$1,000 to remain a patient. I was like,
Yeah.
you can go pound sand.
Yeah.
And then I looked up,
bud,
on my
why don't you try this
insurance.
on for size?
And then they're like, oh, yeah, you can drive out to, East Hillary's Flats in fucking Arkansas and,
Perfect. I'm there
get a
every
yeah.
Tuesday.
new
Yeah.
primary
Nailed
care
the land.
provider.
Yeah, they're like, we hope you
Hillary's
like
Flats in
Longmont.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
Shout out.
No, it's tough out there, dude. It's between the insurance. I neglected to do a lot of like doctor and dentist stuff when I was younger, and so I'm paying those prices
People
now.
do that. I think
And
everybody does
I don't
Yeah,
have
it's-
any teeth.
yeah, it's a pain in the ass. Yeah,
that. Damn.
yeah.
Damn.
Damn.
Anyways, it got bleaker, guys. I don't know how we achieved
All right,
that.
let's dive into some
Yeah.
keyboard.
So on that depressing
keyboardists.
note, let's dive in. Let's talk a little keyboards, should we?
I think so.
Keyboards. I got a question. I'll start us off.
Yeah.
When did it move from pianist to keyboardist?
Pianist.
Is it because it
Pianist?
sounded too much like penis?
I think when you say it sounds
No.
like penis.
No,
Isn't
I-
it pianist? Is it penis?
Pianist too.
Isn't it
It's
like
a little.
pianist?
I'm gonna
It's
go with
close.
I'm gonna go with the Michigan accent on that one. and
Clearly,
just
you've
stand
never
by
seen
the
you heard a British man
Either way.
pronounce
Yeah.
pianist.
Either way.
pianist.
I don't think. I think it was more around like synthesizers.
80s.
Like,
Synthesizer.
yeah.
Bob Moog's time.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
there used
It's
to be
not
like there's
just the piano.
pianists and there's organists, and then at some point there was like there's a dude who plays
Yeah.
those two and three synthesizers.
Yeah.
What do we call him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, keyboardist.
Keyboardist.
That checks out.
Yeah. The keyboard's an interesting
Tickler,
one too,
ivory
right? Because
tickler.
I feel like the keyboard, and correct me if I'm wrong here because I don't know, has the technology of keyboards in the last 10 years like exploded compared to where it was? Or has it always been crazy? Like when was the explosion in terms of like the 80s sounds kind of corny, right? Or like
Yeah.
it wasn't quite there. When did like the
Like synths?
technology explode?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's probably around like the time of EDM.
Yeah.
Like there was obviously, I mean, it's a funny because there's two
It's
sides.
funny.
There's like a dichotomy to it because there's the, proliferation of the EDM and the like digital analog synthesizer stuff and all the crazy stuff you can do with that. And then on the flip side, there's like organ and clav, which have not innovated since the 70s, and they literally stopped making them. Everyone still loves the tone,
Yeah.
but for some reason it's not profitable for Hohner to make clavs anymore, which is devastating. But it's like everyone who, every self-respecting keyboardist is dying to get their hands on a
clav,
Hohner clavinet from 1973. It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's the same with the B3. It's like we peaked in the 70s. They built the best one in 72. It's like the imperfections of it are what make it special. And if you make like a perfect, like Hammond now makes their digital ones try to sound imperfect on purpose because they found that like the imperfect quality of it is what people really like.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that actually.
Yeah. So it's kind of, it's like wild to think about the fact that, Rhodes, like the Wurlitzer, or the clav, organ, all like late 60s, early 70s, and there's no innovation past that. People are like, those are the best sounds.
Wow.
Yeah, that isn't it. I guess.
And Rhodes was initially a Fender instrument, right? It was a Fender keyboard, the Fender Rhodes.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And it's also one that has strings in it, like a clavinet does, from my understanding, to give it that sort of a whirling tone.
Huh.
Yep.
There's so much technology I don't understand about
With the
these
keys.
things.
The keys are.
Well, and that's the
keys
thing
are
about an
interesting,
analog,
man.
like an analog instrument, like he's saying, like the organ or the Hammond. There's a mechanical thing that's from the key that's touching a string or something that makes a tone, like a piano. Whereas a digital instrument is, like a Tesla. When you turn the steering wheel, there's no mechanical things. There's just a signal that's sends to tell the wheel to turn.
That's
Knowledge over
yeah.
here.
Yeah, that was a great
But
analogy.
yeah, and it seems like the analog was the peak.
Yeah, it just feels like in the last 10 to 15 years, and I don't know if it's with like you said, the explosion of electronic music, or like I'll give you an example. Like I went to the Tractor Beam show, the Disco Biscuits played before the Mission Ballroom, and it was the Aaron Magner show. The whole like that dude, Barber was playing, like it was the band, but Magner led it, and the soundscape that guy was making was like it was like an electronic dance, but he was the puppeteer.
Also, I think
he was pulling all the strings.
I think a lot of like maybe also to what you're talking about, why it feels like it's gotten more popular too, is like the plugins and controllers that you can use through like Ableton now to create like a lot of your own soundscapes are at another level of it. You can like plug in, like you can get any sound you want,
And they keep getting more realistic too.
Yeah.
Better emulators.
And what I was gonna say about that is that like, it seems like keyboards are exploding just because every sound kind of gets lumped in. Every digital sound, like any sound that's made on a computer, you don't think of it as being played from a guitar, but a keyboard that's a MIDI controller, like that's very intuitive. And so like the keyboard just kind of, I feel like, has absorbed all of the new sound design that has come in the last however many years.
And a lot of these electronic guys create on a keyboard, right? Like I'm imagining like, like when Hank builds out things in Kaleidoscope, does he have like a MIDI keyboard controller? Or is he just on the actual like computer?
Well, because he and I work together a lot,
you can do it. Yeah,
this is the one on the keyboard. But he has like a different controller. But yes, you're right. Like a lot of and that's kind of what I was saying. Like
it's
the most
easier.
native instrument to tactilely play to evoke these computer sounds is a keyboard.
Yeah,
because every bedroom producer that you see has the Akai MIDI, basic.
Yeah.
Dude, even I fuck with like a little keyboard like that I use when I use to write like loop jams, like, and it's really nice because it acts like as a controller. It's super cool. It's just associated with that style of music.
Well, and standing up, I think physically gives you, which a lot of keyboarders I think do stand up, gives you sort of this physical presence that allows you to be, especially if you know what you're doing with your effects and everything, in multiple places at one time. And I just remember going to a Disco Biscuit show with you, James. We were having a really good time, and you looked at me straight in the eyes, and you were just like, it's like he's 12 people. And you were talking about Aaron Magner, and it's just one of those moments where he's like...
I have a feeling, I'd have to speculate on exactly how they set it up, but there's some kind of thing where whatever beat Alan is playing, that that's connected to Magner's computer, so he can set things off and it'll stay on time.
Right.
We without that power to be locked in, you either have to play to a click or have that technology where the drum beat is acting as the click for your computer. Without those two things, it becomes a lot more difficult to sort of like build the soundscape, because like if I put an ARP on, I'm just trying to keep it in sync with Ben, like I'm tapping the tempo, and if he speeds up,
but it's a manual process. As opposed to what you're saying is, now what would you run that
Well,
through?
that's
like,
what. Sorry.
It's called a MIDI
no,
sync
is
clock.
that like an Ableton or
ask your question?
what is is it a program?
Magner's using Ableton almost for
to
sure.
connect the
So he has all
Tractor
these
Beam,
sounds
100%.
like
Yeah.
especially in Tractor Beam, but like a riser. He has a riser and it's this button, and when he presses it does it, and it's already synced into the beat of Alan, so he can just press it 16 measures ahead of time, and it's
Cue it.
gonna be right in time and like drop at the right moment.
But sometimes they miss it because the rest of the band isn't synced up to the computer, which is
and they'll miss it all the time.
They're all
but
MIDI
it's kind
sync
of what
clocked.
makes it
They're
fun,
all
right?
MIDI
because
sync
when they
clocked.
do
You
hit
hear that?
it,
That's a
it's so
Logan
beautiful.
knowledge drop, boys.
I'm a big.
I know
I'm a
two
big
people that
proponent-
are their techs.
Oh, nice.
What was the knowledge?
Confirmed. Their MIDI sync dropped.
Yeah,
MIDI sync clock.
yeah, we need that. I want it.
Yeah.
Don't listen to me.
It's fine. I'm not trying to bring a laptop. Don't. Let's not even talk
I think.
about it.
Well, what he was. I think just to touch on this really quickly.
Nope.
Yep. I'm gonna do it. Because I like to loop a lot of things live, and that's basically what James is talking about in terms of linking his arpeggiator. Because I have an arpeggiator on my guitar pedal chain, and we loop them almost out of sync. And it sounds, if it's not the overall focus where it's like the main element, it can sound really cool, and it doesn't feel out of time at all. It just feels like an accent where this like comes in like every like fourth or whatever. And Ben does a really cool job syncing up to the arpeggiator, and then he does this really cool thing that Zach Bulgarelli used to do, shout out Z, because it was such an awesome concept, is he can like switch the loop where he like switches where the one is sometimes, and Ben does that too while we're jamming live, and it blows my fucking mind. I'm like, how did you do that? Like where literally the one becomes the two of the loop, and it's like so perfect. And that's the one difference if you were just syncing to a clock on the computer, I don't think that you would fully be able to like transform it like that, which is cool.
Yep.
Boom, knowledge.
So, who are some of you guys or gals? Who are the influences? The people that you think maybe paved the way or are breaking ground, or people that do things that you can't wrap your brain around?
Yeah, well, there's kind of a couple different angles to go about this. There's like the historical people who laid the groundwork and whatever, and like laid the path for everyone. But
Beethoven.
my boy BT,
1-1.
amen.
Yeah,
I mean,
shout out.
for real though, like, shout out.
Really?
Mozart, what's up?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people's first songs they probably learn on the piano is like Moonlight Sonata or something like that. But I would be remiss without
composers, though.
starting out with just my obvious number one influence by like a mile, which is Kyle Hollingsworth from String Cheese Incident.
Wow.
And I'm glad that it doesn't sound obvious, because to me it does. And I just like early on heard his playing and the way he did like funky licks and like kind of like just the way he expressed himself and the way he kind of like builds out the solo to that peak. He's very good at that, like starting out kind of a little chiller, bring it up, bring it back down, and like I don't know, but I like unconsciously I feel like I've
Kyle's a great one.
trying to sound like that.
He's got that kind of salsa world, like he bring like you just want to dance when you hear Kyle.
And also super funky and like
Super funky.
super
Yep.
and another big aspect to it to me, because I'm sure we might get
The
into
story behind
some
it,
of the other people like Billy Joel or Yellow Brick Road guy Elton John. They like
guy.
where I'm going with this is like Kyle also is an inspiration in songwriting, because he wrote songs that are super funky and fun. And also like someone like Billy Preston is on my list.
Shout out.
And I've always admired the people who can like Stevie Wonder, I think falls into this too. Like basically songwriting on the keyboard or on the piano is hard. It's hard not to sound ballady. It's hard not to get drawn towards a ballad because when it's just you and the piano, it sounds very beautiful. And like, it's just, if you just sit down to kind of like let the song take it where it will go, I've written like 40 throwaway ballads that I'm like, I don't want anyone to know that I wrote this, but but that's just like, it's hard to break out of that. And so like Billy Preston, Stevie Wonder, Kyle Hollingsworth, like were able to like be a band leader, Kyle Hollingsworth and his side project, be a band leader and a songwriter and like carry the band and write all the songs and have it not be like, so like to me, like Elton John, Billy Joel, a little more ballady.
Right. They're the center focus, whereas to your point, yeah, I never thought about that from a songwriting. Like, hey, it sounds beautiful when it's just me here, but how are we? There's 4 of us.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. I feel like guitar probably lends itself a little bit more to like writing melodic-driven songs that like dipple bow dipple chicka.
Sure.
Yeah. No, that makes
And
sense.
yeah, piano's more chords.
Would you
and-
say that Kyle, like I don't know that it's not the playing that I see his influence on you as much but the songwriting for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause he has those great, I like your songs a lot, as you know, those ones that everybody can sing and get behind and they have like a great story and they're like driving.
Yeah.
And
They're a little more simple. They're not like this complex sort of.
Yeah.
It's like simple but catchy and like fun.
Everybody
like,
they're fun.
Yeah. Always good vibe kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of Billy Preston too.
Yeah,
just,
dude, Billy Preston, the fifth Beatle.
The fifth Beatle, the only one to be credited.
Yeah, he was, and he saved the album.
Yeah.
I mean, without him, they talk about it. You guys have probably seen that, the Disney, like Peter Jackson tell-all into the Beatles Apple studio sessions. Oh my God, dude, it's one of the best documentaries
just like raw
I've seen.
footage. That's just like 7 hours of raw footage of them. In
Yeah,
the
but it's
studio.
it's
Oh,
like
I know
well,
what you're talking
yeah,
about.
it's such a cool.
I watched every minute.
Every minute.
Did you check it out? I've seen it a couple times. Oh, you haven't? Oh man, it's such a cool insight.
I've seen the one
how they've,
episode where they, like the
yeah, but Billy shows up in there on the third one, and if you love him, you should check it out. It's really cool because he comes in and they all talk about how he just kind of saved the day because he brought in a new vibe and he was really happy and was like stoked to be there. And when like the 4 of them were all like just not feeling it, like just having somebody else there to bounce ideas off of and be a part of it, and he was open to it, like he wanted to be a part of the songwriting. So I've always loved him because we talked about this on the last episode. I love George Harrison, and he was in George Harrison's big band. I'm pretty sure he was on the record All Things Must Pass, if I'm not mistaken, and George gave Billy one of his biggest songs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think all that's accurate. And yeah, to your point about like him bringing a different angle to the songwriting, that's kind of where I was going to as well. Like you said, like with Kyle's songs, and it's just like they're not necessarily as like introspective or intellectual and evoking some kind of like melancholic emotion that's hard to get your finger on. It's just like fun and get your body moving. Like, oh yeah, I love this.
Yeah.
That's always been kind of more my style, like funky.
Yeah.
Always loved funk. Just loved things that just really made you feel good and made you want to rock like this instead of like kind of like listening to like alternate indie stuff and like getting in my feelings.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. I still do that sometimes.
Yeah.
All is good.
Yeah, great pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, who else we got? Who else we thinking?
Mark.
Speaking of funk, I'll submit my one that I'm prepared to go deep on. I mean, there was a period where I was listening to a lot of jam music, and I went really hard into instrumental funk and Herbie Hancock.
There was a period when you were listening to a lot of jam music. Is that are we out of that period?
I don't listen to jam music anymore.
From 2008 to 2025.
I had to quit that.
Herbie though, yeah.
Herbie
Nice,
Hancock.
yeah,
I mean,
dude.
so many
He's on
albums
my
for
list,
me
no
come
doubt.
like
Headhunters.
are
Yeah.
headhunters, man.
Fucking the best, dude.
And it's 4 tracks, and it's just such heat. And those rhythms and those melodies for me are burned into my mind.
Watermelon Man.
Dude.
And I think if you're educated,
millions
if you've
this.
listened to Headhunters, like you're going to be listening to a jam band and you're going to hear those influences.
Yeah, talk about
Yeah.
like pioneering and paving the
Absolutely.
way. Like he would be up on Mount Rushmore for
Yeah.
that for sure.
I think like people talk about Bitches Brew like as like one of the forays into like improvised music. Like
Yeah.
I think Headhunters is like the next, because I think that came out. I think it was like a few years later, maybe 5 or 10. I think that's like taking all of these like concept of Bitches
It
Brew,
was like,
which is
what
really
if it was actually
it was
fun to listen
it's
to?
very avant-garde. If you like, Bitches Brew is wild.
Shots fired.
It's
Yeah.
really wild. But
Bitches
like, I
Brew,
think
yeah.
it takes all of those elements and puts just like, yo, all the shit's cool, but put a like fat groove under it, and
What
it's
if we
gonna
didn't
sound
make it
even better.
Such a trip.
Yeah.
And like kind of put
Yeah.
some song structure around it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and Herbie played obviously in various versions of Miles Davis's bands.
Yeah.
He
So,
did, yeah.
you know, they're from that same world, but Herbie took the acid jazz sort of concept to a new level. And I mean, Headhunters is a great example, but there's so many. If you're a fan of Herbie, those like late 70s albums are all flame, and there's a ton of them.
It's fun because I feel like a lot of people they grew up on the Herbies and the Miles Davises and then
Sure.
graduate to like,
Yeah.
I was the opposite where I didn't know anything about those guys, but then I started listening to jam bands and then that led me backwards.
That's almost a cooler
Which
progression.
is
dude.
cool. So like, you know,
I
I
think
bought
I'd be the
Bitches
same
Brew on
way.
vinyl like 3 years ago, and I'm like, oh, this is what everyone's talking.
It's
You know, it's
crazy.
cool to like how you approach it.
Yeah.
And what gets
I'd be
you
in the
there.
same boat as you. Like
Yeah.
jam music was my first foray into like really caring about music
Yeah.
and the history of music and like
Yeah.
look like the Beatles and
Yeah.
Pink Floyd and like
Yeah.
going back to all those roots. Before that, it was
Right. And then
probably
it leads you to the Chick Coreas and the Herbie Hancocks. So
Yeah.
it's very
Dylan,
cool.
you got a story for us?
Oh yeah, man. So, all right, I'm gonna share one. It's not.
Wait, should we talk about the #1 result on Google? Because who is that guy?
I don't know his name. I can't even remember.
If you
I
can't say
bel-
his name, then
It's not worth talking about, I suppose, except for everybody else except us.
Go look it up and be
No, but
confused.
I'll share one because it's not necessarily somebody that I believe to be the best, like most influential pianist, keyboardist in my life, but there's this story that I heard about Keith Jarrett. And do you guys know who Keith Jarrett is at all?
No.
Oh man, I'm actually surprised, James. You should definitely check this out. He's a jazz guy, and he's goes back into the like 60s, 70s, and there's this one story about a concert in 1975 that he played in Germany. It's called the Concert of Cologne. You can Google it. I swear it's all over the place, and I did look it up today to
Infamous.
I don't
reconfirm-
doubt that this exists.
no, reconfirm some facts on it that I was curious about.
Okay.
But essentially, basically what happened is he requested a specific piano to be brought up there, like a 1600, like, I don't know,
Piano.
like grand piano or something like that. And I guess the place got it wrong, and they didn't get the right piano, and they had this one like kind of shoddy piano that they had like a baby grand, like not a terrible one, that they brought out on stage, and it took apparently like all this time to like tune it and try to even get it to a right position. And like Keith Jarrett apparently shows up this time like 3 hours late to like his sound check and rehearsal and everything, so he has basically an hour to check out this piano, and he sits down at it and it sounds like shit. Like it's so out of tune. The high end is so tinsy. It's not connecting. It's like some of the keys aren't working. It's just like a dead keyboard. And how I found out about this was I was on on this TED Talk binge back in the day, and it popped up. And this one just hit because he didn't walk away from actually playing the concert. And it's like one of the most beautifully captured pieces of music, and the reason he didn't walk away from it is they had already set up all the recording shit. So he was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna it's all set up, I'm just gonna be here and do this. And apparently he approached the songs in a way that he had never played them before. And he sat in some of the big takeaways from it is he, as opposed to just playing these songs melodically through, he sat in vamps and would just play these 2-chord notes on the bass end where it'd be an A minor to a G, and as opposed to going up and playing high in the octave, he would sit in the more middle range, and it just created this tonality that nobody had really been accustomed to in his playing. And dude, you know me, man, things like that are so idiosyncrasies like that exist. Like I love shit like that. It's so inspiring to me because that's like this idea of if you're doing like painting, like this is my thought that I came up with when I heard it, and you've probably heard me say shit like this, is like paint red where you see green. You know, like throw something in there that you wouldn't have done anyways, just to see what happens, because like you are only your own perception. Like don't allow like your singular perception in a moment to like fully dictate the outcome of it. You know what I mean? Because it can be formed by anybody else, and there's beauty that can exist in that moment if you allow yourself to be open to it. So that changed my whole life. That TED Talk changed my whole life. Like
that was awesome.
Fucking incredible.
It's the imperfections of the piano brought out
it
something
makes
that
me shake because it's fucking incredible, dude.
I love, like you said, the idiosyncrasies, like the things that the variables that can like just give a whole different slant on music. Like I had an acoustic guitar in college, and I think when I got it, it didn't have the high E string, and I never put one on there. I was never that into guitar, but I wrote some songs on it, and I also play left-handed, so I was strumming it upside down.
Nice.
And all the songs I came up with like didn't sound like anything else I had ever heard because I was playing guitar upside down with one of the strings missing.
Like that. I mean, that's the idea. That's totally it right there. You know. And I just love.
Stay tuned for the Jimmy Keys guitar upside down album.
Yeah.
I just love that it connected too, and the guy leaned into it. You know, he could have walked away. He could have been like, "Fuck this, you guys screwed this up. I don't want to play this."
Did
piano.
he give the TED Talk?
No.
No,
but
sad.
no, but you should listen to it. I mean, it's recorded. It's all over the place.
He's like, I am fucking incredible. I am a creative genius.
I want to give a talk about a time where I decided to play a piano, even though
if he gave his own TED Talk, yeah, that would be great. But yeah, I found that story super inspiring. That was something a great story. I've rocked with for a long time.
Elliot, do you have any keyboard?
What you got?
People?
I do. I've got a big list, but I'm just gonna. I might just rapid fire because a lot of these are straight. I mean, the Ray Charles, Elton John, Billy Joel, we all know, right? But like,
I'm kidding. You've done that too many times in the tree of influence. You did that to me last time. Fuck you.
Yeah. I want to rattle through some because you want to get through. It's like it's like giving thanks at a Oscar party.
100%.
Like, oh my god, I have to mention Ray Charles. Wait, I got it.
Yeah.
That's actually a great way to put it.
I have to mention a local guy that I respect a lot, and that's Joey Porter of the that guy.
What an absolute
he's a beast.
What a beast.
100%.
That guy, the Motet was just one of those bands I caught very early on that just absolutely blew my mind. Every time I see him, still I saw him at the Herbie. He played a Herbie Hancock tribute not but a month ago.
Yep.
Guy blows my mind. Eli of Dopapod.
Big time.
Yeah,
that guy,
he's so good, dude.
That like Moog Dopapod sound is so signature, and he drew me in from the very beginning. I mean, all those guys are monster musicians, but my eyes could not leave Eli.
100%.
Not a lot of jam bands with the keyboard player being the band leader either.
True. Yeah.
Yep.
You think he's the band leader?
Of Dopapod,
I would say so. Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
You know them better than me.
Also,
I mean, it's like they're a great 4-piece in the sense that they really trade that.
Yeah.
That
it's not Rob, and that's
I don't see that. Yeah, I more so see it as you just put it, is they're a very good equalized.
Eli, I would say, takes the lead. Rob, also shout out to Neighbor. They're going to be fantastic with Rob. That's
stoked for that.
I guess specifically from like a musical standpoint, Eli's soloing for like 40 minutes out of the 60 of a show. So, or like kind of going off.
Yeah. You let that guy cook, dude.
Yeah.
Dude. And then finally, I mean, Paige, of course, from Fish.
Oh yeah, of course.
Never heard of
him. Kind of feel bad. I
guys
didn't say
it's like thanking your family in the Oscar ceremony.
Like,
obviously, my family.
yeah. Brett Midland. You know.
Can't forget about Dad.
Yeah, and John Medeski too. Medeski, Martin, Schofield, Wood. Those guys.
Hell yeah.
I saw those when I was like very, very young. Didn't really understand it, and again, it's just one of those moments where you're like, "Oh, this is possible." Like, I didn't really even know this was possible.
That one harkens to like kind of what I've said before about like, I love the guys who are super emotive and like very.
And he's so like avant-garde, like weird. There's nobody like him.
Yeah.
You know? It's like you're one of one.
And based in the organ, organ's really John Medeski's thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He is like
Big
you
time.
hear the classical training. Like I was like, this guy has spent thousands and thousands of hours dedicated to
Oh,
a
yeah.
piano.
He truly deeply understands
Yeah.
the instruments that he's playing, and you
Yeah.
can tell he's just so passionate about it.
Yeah.
He's also like, I think, a really cool hired gun in the scene, so to speak.
Sure.
You catch him at Jazz
Plug
Fest
and
playing
play.
in like
Yeah.
14 bands,
Yeah.
always ripping.
Yeah. Great point. Yeah. It's you're good when you can just put him in any group of musicians.
Well, when people wanna
little
play with him.
practice, and
Yeah.
he's gonna rip.
Yeah. Should we throw on wrap it up with some PT
Yeah, let's
talk?
wrap it up, dude.
Wrap
let's
it up
talk
with some
about the
PT?
brand new.
Wrap it up.
Some Mark's
not
measurements.
not 6 months after the debut studio album comes out, you guys are back in the studio cooking up again. And
can talk through it
I didn't
with
even really know about this one, for what it's worth, which, not that I need to know about everything, but you guys just sort of were like, yeah, we came out of, we got a new concept.
Yeah. I just kind of birthed that. James wrote this awesome description of it for Instagram that I think you just talk about it, like the out of nowhere. This is a jam that we wish we recorded. Practice.
Yeah. I would say the original roots of it were every time we go to practice, usually when a band goes to practice, like as you're sitting down, someone will just start to fuck around, start playing some stuff, someone else kind of get in on it. Before you know it, like everyone's involved in like just like a kind of funky jam. Sometimes it goes way up off the mountain, like really goes crazy, and sometimes it's just like pretty dope for like 7 minutes. And it's like, okay, let's wind it up, and then it's like, all right, now let's practice whatever we're gonna practice. And yeah, we had a lot of those where like it was like, damn, that was really sick.
Yeah.
Like, whatever just happened, like wouldn't it have been cool if we got that on tape? And so we had percolated this idea of like recording practice sessions and then taking the best ones of those and throwing it on an album eventually. And I have to give credit to Ben for pushing to take this idea from like idea to reality and really being like, hey, what do you think about getting in the studio and trying to actually lay down some of those track? And we called it at practice like pocket therapy sometimes.
Because that was the exercise initially. That was birthed out
Yeah.
of the exercise, pocket therapy.
Yeah.
And explain that. I mean, for the layman's out there.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of jam band exercises. Like Fish would do the hey one where they'd all sync up on something and they'd say hey when they would sync up on it. So our idea of an exercise was we realized we were always kind of changing in our jams live, where it's like, yo, dude, if you lock into something that feels good and it feels good, like do that more, as opposed to be like, oh, because it was like we
Explore
would
the
lock
space.
in and then we'd move. It'd be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay, great, we locked in finally. That's what I was going for. Move on.
Yeah, I say it's a lot like meditation.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
like meditation's all about like reaching that calm spot, and then it's pretty quickly like, oh no, I'm like drifting off, thinking about this and that. My brain is scattered. I need to like chill out again, bring it back to center, think about nothing. And that's like pocket therapy is like playing nothing, and you're always playing too much, and you gotta get back to playing less and playing less. And so that's kind of where the term came from. We would like challenge ourselves to like, we would literally say, can we go 5 minutes and no one evolve anything?
Like
Yeah.
no
Repeat
fills.
the same
Wow.
thing you're doing, and it is really hard, and we usually didn't even make it because like 3 minutes in you're just like, I just want to put a little fill right
Yeah,
here. Like
yeah,
it
yeah.
takes insane amount of patience and focus to actually do that. But
The end result was an album with a bunch of songs that are all under 5 minutes, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep, they are.
so
Yep.
I'll just continue a little bit more with the process of it. So once we were like, oh yeah, but that's a good idea. Let's get in the studio and kind of just crank some of these out. And we were like talking about trying to write some like skeletons for it. And we were like, we could, but like we trust ourselves to just kind of be able to do it on the fly.
That was
and,
kind
like,
of my push. For
yes,
sure.
it was. Well, and to be fair, you also didn't even really know what we were doing when you got here. You're like, why are we here? What's the point? And like,
I was like, I just wanted to jam, dude. And that's what we did.
Well, to be fair,
yes.
Well, to be fair, you wanted to do like a 30-minute nonstop thing. It was like, no, the point is to like jam out some like
Isn't that
4
what
minutes.
we did?
No, all of these were 3 minutes long except one of them.
Yeah, bass invades.
Yeah, out of
And then
9,
there
one
was
of
a
them-
cut. Yeah, but we could have cut up all those. Those would have been pocket therapy. But what
No,
we realized
not
was
quite.
they
A
were
lot of them,
like,
went on some-
transcendental therapy
Yeah.
is more like
you need to
it.
accept you're a little wrong here.
It's not about being wrong.
Yeah,
I just
you
had
wanted to jam a lot. We were like, let's
oh my
do
God.
4
Are you
minute
actually going to
segments.
argue with me about this?
I
It was
mean,
just
Clip
an
this.
It's not
Clip
about
this for the
being
socials.
wrong.
Clip
I
this
just
for
had
the
a,
socials.
I had a different thought process going into it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's
Is
not
there
wrong
drama
or
in
right.
the RADO scene?
Sure,
People are asking.
but it wasn't sort of like kind of what Ben and I's idea was.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so it was great. I mean, the first one was awesome. We did like a 30-minute jam. It was great. And we were like, we want to try to do some like just little funky nuggets.
Yeah.
Just like 3
It's-
minutes, something good groove, nice and tight. Maybe get out of it for a little bit and then come back to that groove and then like call it in the song.
It's super digestible. It's super easy listening.
I want to brush my teeth to it.
I want to do
every
my
day.
homework to it.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? Yeah.
One PT a day keeps
Yeah,
the
dude.
doctor away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it worked out like way better than I thought possible. Like we did like 4 of these, or probably just like 4 we did back to back to back.
Yeah.
Like just did it, stopped, and we're like, all right, that was pretty cool. All right, who has another idea? All right, count it in, and just ripped like 4 of them in a 20-minute span.
Wow.
And I'm like, all right, let's take a
Yeah,
little break.
Kevin came up with a shit ton of ideas, which was
Yeah.
cool. I think that was like another part of
to
the
your credit, once
formula. Like
Yeah.
as I, like we were thinking through a lot of things that we're gonna release that to some people too. All these 30-minute jams that were really sick and call it Fluidity. So another album is coming out.
Hey,
But
Stay tuned.
Can we
but
just
Kevin just killed it, dude. On these songs that James is talking about, we kind of like fully stripped down and we're like,
What's this one? Bass Invades?
yeah, this was the first one that was a part of a 30-minute jam.
I mean, this is when you just come in with the the guitar line.
I was like, yep, that works.
It's fully one of those moments where I was like, yes. Listening to this
Thank
album.
you, Digitech Whammy pedal.
It's like part, you guys, like, obviously RADO is so many things musically, but I think live you guys can embody so much so much raging dance. This is like also such a part of your sound that I don't always think translated in your debut studio record, where you guys went hard for jams, which I think was one of the best parts about that's one of my favorite parts about Baker's Measurements.
Yeah.
This, on the other hand, feels like you guys stayed in this zone
Yeah.
that I just love as a part of your sound
conscious
as well.
decision to not jam.
Yeah.
Totally.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And the result for me is like, it's like you guys Halloween costume as Wolfpack in the coolest way.
Sure.
And it's just, it's so intentional, even though you guys were in this jam space. What the end product translates to is something that feels very thought out.
Yeah.
Right.
The intention worked out, you know. I mean, I did know what we were gonna do when we came here. That was the talk of the concept. I just wanted to try to open up the idea a little bit and more so think like maybe we could just jam for 30 minutes and cut little pieces. Because if I'm being honest,
It
my
was Dylan's
favorite
idea.
No, this was a collective. It's not again. It's just not
just
about
messing with
wrong
you.
or right. I think that's what I'm getting at. Is it's like this one is I think my favorite one, and you can tell that it breathes into potentially something bigger on this song specifically.
Well, I've loved seeing it pop up in live sets. I mean, you guys can go on to Bandcamp, which is for free. You can pull up the Atrium show in Fort Collins, and you can listen to Bass Invades. They open the show with it, and hear how it kind of just
that
the
was fun.
vibe. For, start out with this, and
Yeah.
it just you go into this space, and it's like
That was fun.
it to me. It accomplishes in a really cool way with the TED tapes. If you're a Goose fan, TED tapes did for Goose, where they had these jam segments that they could, pre-package, throw in a really cool way.
Yeah.
When you take these live, obviously they're digestible bite-sized now on the record. Is there any intention to like stretch these things, or do you like where they are now? Do you keep it that way live?
We've played a lot of them live already. I mean,
but like
it was funny because I just sit there and like we were like on tour and I'm like, so I need to learn how Pocket Therapy goes because it's all. I mean, it's
like
all
one
improv,
take.
dude.
Yeah,
it's all improv, which is
Yeah.
sick. So like,
Yeah.
we have done it live, a few of these live, and we do keep them kind of at that same, like 3 to 5 minutes, but they've all coalesced into another song.
Sure.
Which is kind of
It
cool.
dissolves
I don't think we've
into
just
some
played
other
a.
space.
I think we'd feel very weird just playing a song for 3 minutes and
And
being
then
like,
I
stop.
think I feel like the future of it's very up in the air. Like
Yeah.
how it'll end up because, I mean, when we played it out on this last tour, it was really fun. It was really cool. And there's a little part of me that's like, it's never going to be as good as it was. It's like a classic like improv thing where like you do it and you're like, oh, let's do that again. It's like
Right.
you can't.
It can just live in this time and space though, and it doesn't
but
have
they've
to.
worked as little nuggets like that, and like we
Yeah.
have like Beastly's one of our covers we love to do, and so after we've been on a 20-minute jam that peaks 5 times, sometimes it's nice to have a breather that's like funky and digestible.
Hottentot Schofield, another
Yeah.
one that they kind of
yeah.
throw in there. That's a cover that's kind of
I think
a breather.
That's the vision, is kind of have it be like one of those, either like a Hottentot or a Beastly in our set that's like a bit of a breather and funky and good vibes.
Yeah, they connect too.
Yeah.
People, I mean, it's cool because it realistically, also the idea behind this was to get
This is
like
Jim's
some,
Funky
to
Fingers,
get some
isn't it?
freaking some plays on Spotify. Man, you know,
yeah.
because it's not, you know, these episodical songs that are 13 minutes just don't necessarily like get as many views or listens, and that's totally fine. But this one organically has just kind of like been the most successful thing we've ever put out. And
Well,
it's
and
cool.
I'm
it's cool
sure
to
it gives
see.
you guys the confidence that now that you've done this once, what's to stop you from doing it again? What's
Yeah, we've already
this
talked about
concept can
that.
live over and
Yeah.
over again, and now you
Maybe.
well, yeah.
I mean,
in a different form.
I would love it too.
I like
just,
it being a slice in time.
Yeah.
No, well-
or
well-
it might. Yeah.
Well, and you could have another slice in time later that's something different, but it kind of
Trance
goes back to what I
therapy.
said about like doing it again. Like you hope,
Yeah.
basically, like I'm not sure you ever fully get confidence that you can just keep recreating the magic. Every time you're like, that was really sick. We got lucky. Oh, I think he was pointing out the piano,
Oh yeah.
keyboard, baby.
Oh yeah. Cranking it.
But basically, like, I'm just like a little paranoid, but like, I'm amazed it came out so good. And like, how did this happen? Like, I think we thought we were going to record for like 2 hours and have like 3 songs that we could take away and like stamp. And we like, we did like 20 and we're like 15 of these could be viable. And then from there, picked like the best 9. And it was like, I was shocked. And so maybe I should have more confidence that we could do it again. But I'm also
Yeah, you
like,
absolutely could.
Yeah, we like did
Sure
it,
we
and we did the first way that was more like let's just jam out some songs and cut it up, and like we had enough material to release something at that point. But then, to James's point, we did these 3-minute ones, and it was the last 30 minutes that are all of the songs that we picked.
Yeah.
Which is pretty freaking cool. That it was just like, all right, who's got an idea? Lay it down, come up with something, and it's stripping it down. It's like simplicity just works
Yeah.
here really well,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
proud of the end result.
To keep taking a peek behind the curtain, I was talking to Jimmy about it because I was, I know you guys have been to a few RADO shows, and I've I've totally
Yes, I've
fanboyed.
been to a couple.
I've totally fanboyed about this album, and I was asking James I was like, so I mean, the tone of the collab sounds incredible. Had to be the Honer, and he was.
It's not.
Tone genie over here. My clav tone. Everyone wants my clav tone. I'm sorry. You heard it here first. I'm not even kidding. Every time we play with another band, they're like, how did you get the Nord to sound like that?
Really, you've got a bit of a
Yes.
reputation. Huh?
Yes.
And that's a digital
That's true.
instrument.
It's not
so-
just self-proclaimed.
He's
I've-
got
I've
both.
heard it voiced
and he
by
tours
bands.
with both. I think.
it's the pedal chain that I run it
Okay.
through. I have this big pedal board, and it's all for the clav, the Nord or the Honer. But I'm deciding whether or not I want to give away my big secret.
Yeah, don't give away
ace in
too
the
many
hole,
secrets.
But
Yeah.
Dylan says no. Yeah, I
Come
wasn't
see
planning
RADO.
on
Come
it.
see
Talk to
RADO
him
and try
about
to
it there.
figure it out live.
But it is moist.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I
That
think
feels
the
like a
album
good
is
ending point right there.
fantastic. James, thank you for joining us, man.
Thanks, man.
Congratulations for all your success. You smell terrific.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Perfect.
See you in Vegas. Thanks,
Right on.
everybody.
Come to
RADcast
Cervantes,
episode
March-
5. We out.
March
Come to
22.
serves. Yes, sir. Thanks, y'all. Hell yeah.
Boom.